Give it a title. All right, we are live. Okay, so Rebecca, can you hear and see me still?
I can, totally, yeah.
Excellent. All right. So I want everyone to imagine that you are peeping into a window. We are here talking goddess talk, enchanted talk, whatever it is. We are going to share inspiration, and we encourage people to ask questions and comments, and not to watch this as a TV show, but to watch it as like you're a part of the conversation. Is that okay?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Rebecca and I came together on a phone call. We met at Soul Level Success, and we felt a really good energy. And then we ended up doing a video without really having knowledge of what we wanted from each other. We were just like, let's just see. And we had such a good dialogue, and it felt like it was going to really be supportive and helpful for other people to hear it. So that's what we're here to discuss today. And then I'll let Rebecca share how we were just talking and this sentence came out. I think you said it, like, where you said something and then I was like, yeah, it's important not to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how'd that happen?
So I was sharing about, because I was remembering working in like more office culture and feeling how I had to like really guard my energy and shut the fuck up a lot. And I was connecting in with like a deeper sense of value around my work that obviously I love coaching and I love what I do, but one of the like deepest values and drives is that I like really don't have to shut the fuck up. There's no one around me that can really tell me that I'm doing something wrong. And it feels like a space that allows me to fully expand and express myself.
I love that.
Yeah.
This is why partnership works even now. That day, we both took beautiful notes, and I'm like, I don't know where my notes are. It has the notes, and it's so important. Because I've been trained as a student of the public school system, which was beautiful in many ways. So like, you better have your homework on time or you're going to get in trouble. And it's sort of like the work environment, right? Where it's like, and so we don't have to live that way anymore.
No, we just came to each other like, because we were planning. I had thought, maybe we should get together before the call and like kind of recap what we're going to talk about. And I was feeling your energy and you were just like, let's just fucking get in there, girl. And then I messaged you like 15 minutes before and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm totally down. I feel so energized and I just want to jump in. And it felt like super, super right,
Yeah.
So, like gave me that permission.
So good. And what we're just sharing and what's actually happening in this moment is the permission. Do I feel like, oh man, I'm not ready, I don't have my notes? And in a work environment or a school environment, you could get in trouble for that. It's like,
really?
oh, you're not prepared.
I'm not prepared.
And I think a part of the reason why I don't shut the fuck up is because I was trained to be quiet. And I fight against it, whether if I was laughing, in school or a work environment, forget it. I'm not a good employee.
Yeah. You know what else I remember us kind of like talking about that I feel like is naturally emerging now?
Yeah.
It's reminding me of like how in all these different contexts, like even within spiritual contexts, we can learn to like guard ourselves from the rawness of what we want to express. And I think you and I are also attracted to a conversation together because of our almost like mutual craving for kind of like enlightened rawness.
Yes. Ooh, enlightened rawness. I think this is how Shut the Fuck Up came up too. It's like in dialogue, we can have like just an easy response, like enlightened rawness. You say it and it's like, okay. But I love that. And I want to like slow down and really embrace what that is and what that looks like for people. But But I also want to check in. Are we frozen on Facebook? Like if somebody could type in the comments, hear you, see you, because I want to make sure that we're not sharing the goods and then we're frozen. So if somebody's watching live,
it when it's like, okay,
No.
I love that. And I want to slow down and really embrace
Yeah.
what that is and
oh,
and what
okay,
that looks like for
okay, perfect. So I don't remember the rest of your question, but raw enlightenment.
Totally. Yeah.
So I can see this coming up when there's a lot of, let's say, spiritual groups who just want to love and light, you know, everything. Laws of attraction. And I love that shit.
Totally. Yeah.
I think we both are unafraid and aware of the power of the darkness.
Yeah. And also like how we can use any kind of like cultural language as a way to hide how frightening it is to say what you really mean, you know? And like, I'm not saying that I do that too, you know? So it's like, but I noticed that a lot. And so the term came to me, and I feel like one of the reasons we're kind of like vibing is this like shared interest in what it looks like to be conscious and also like super raw, you know, because it's really human too. And there's scary shit that we want to say.
Yeah.
And that feels like really conscious, you know, and full of potential.
Yeah. I love it's like, it's work. Like right now, I love what you're saying. And I'm like, I want to say a million things.
Yeah.
And come back and be like, there's so much potential, like what you ended in. It's this thing where if you're watching this, you can be like, oh, they're cool that they're doing their thing.
Totally. Yeah.
Or it can be, you know, like, oh yeah, I know what they're talking about. I've experienced it. So I want to choose to talk to the audience that knows. And if anyone doesn't and they have a question, please answer or ask. But I want to really go deeper into what you've opened up, which is in the spiritual communities when it's hard to speak up.
Yeah.
So we're talking to like people working in corporate America where it's because I think this is a really valuable place where you could be evolved and grow and know how to be raw.
Yeah.
Don't know how to do it. Like,
Yes.
and maybe you're still sort of like crying and hiding about it, or something's pissing you off and you don't know how to bring that. That's a big one. You don't know how to bring your pissed offness to a spiritual community because you're afraid, like, this is the love and light land. I don't want to be the angry bitch.
And the last thing you want in terms of like, and I'm saying this from the perspective of like, just to create context of like being human and having emotions and all of that stuff, not being above that, but like the last thing we want to experience is like more internalized shame for experiencing things that are like ultimately superhuman, and you can't get rid of. So it feels like the most elevated perspective to like acknowledge, which is not always easy. Like, oh, I'm fucking angry right now, or like, I don't want to shut up, or, you know, and I think like something else that's been coming to me so much recently is like that it that can come from like a real that like real honesty can come from a really loving place of like really wanting to connect, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens when like yeah, we're willing to share things that are frightening or like culturally shamed, you know.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things that are shamed.
As you're talking, I'm remembering, and maybe this is an example that everybody can relate. Well, everyone watching can relate to. I was in a circling weekend. It was like part of a 6-month coaching program. And if anybody was in that program during this weekend, I wasn't looking for connection. I was genuinely upset. There was, and I'll share this, feels really raw. Somebody was, it was a Friday night, and somebody was doing a Shabbos ceremony. I'm Jewish. I say it like I'm Jewish, and somebody was doing a ceremony. And I was like, this is great. I love this. And then she ended up not being Jewish. And I was like, ooh, I have a lot of darkness around this. And it's not something I'm proud of. But I was like, I let out so much anger and darkness about this. And the whole room was like, this is something beautiful she wants to bring. And I'm like, I had my stuff, you know, it almost feels edgy to share it right now. But since this is the context, I was like, she hasn't suffered. So she has no right to do this. You want to just live in the love and light, Julianne? Well, that's not the whole, you know, whatever. I've worked a lot through this, but it was the perfect time to shut the fuck up. And I didn't. And it took over for hours in a circling environment where you are there to speak the truth of the moment. And I just like really saw my darkness and my pain, and the woman doing it was great. She wanted to learn more. And that's what, but it can feel so isolating.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to hate me, or this is going to ruin the weekend. And it took the weekend for a sharp turn. And I could have, and the purpose was not to keep it to myself. So like to keep it isolated actually causes an implosion, and it creates the same patterns as when we were in school or we were in that corporate job and it didn't feel good.
Yeah. And what you're sharing, do you mind if I share something?
No, go ahead, please.
Reminds me of so much is like, you know, there's so much emphasis on like, which I think is really important, on like kind of being in the middle in a sense, like not being extreme. But sometimes when you're just, which I completely appreciate in a lot of ways, but sometimes when you're just learning to express yourself, like maybe at first it is extreme, you know, and then maybe you learn like, oh, the next time I do that, maybe this could happen or whatever, you know, but like, which gets us to the next topic, which is like contexts that are supportive, right?
Yes.
So if you're in like a context that can support that exploration, then like generally speaking, it can hold that experience, you know, whereas like there are a lot of places maybe that wouldn't be able to hold that type of experience.
Totally. And just an upgrade to that now, knowing like, oh, it can be messy and sometimes it just is. Or I can be like, I'm feeling a lot of rage. This could have been the upgrade. I'm feeling a lot of rage right now. I'm aware it's going to take over this entire space. And I just want to share that, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And then the other thing you just shared. So I run the Awkward Enchanted Coven, and one of our goddesses started sharing her wisdom and knowledge around race. And how we treat our Black sisters in this world and how much of a part of our society. And I'm like, cool. I'm glad you're bringing this here. And she feels the safe container in the context of like doing the video vixen challenge and just sharing whatever she wants to share. And I think that's a really cool way to just explain like what you're talking about in terms of context. It's like,
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Something came up that I wanted to ask you. Oh yeah. So I'm curious, like, you know, a lot of your Facebook posts. So we're both coaches, we're both guides. We both help people achieve greatness. I'll say in the most simplest of ways. So when you post your Facebook posts, a lot of them are just like, they relate to me because they're just like thoughts. They're profound and also very like talking. They're not like, I planned this statement. I can sense that you think it and you put it. Is that okay? Great.
Yeah.
So like, what's your process when you hear something in your mind that's like seems raw and what's the word you said before? Raw and enlightened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know, it's interesting because people have like so many different relationships with Facebook. And I realized for me, like, I'm kind of, so much of the work that I do with clients and what I'm really passionate about is so consistent with the theme that we're talking about, which is like, how do you feel really expressed and empowered and authentic and visible in your career and area of purpose, so that like you can feel like an integrated person in the world and not like a schmuck who has to put on a hat that feels like shit. That's like the best plug-in for myself I've ever given.
I love it. I know.
Yeah. But it's true. And like, I think the desire comes so much from me that I like need that. It's not like I want it. I can't, once you start traveling down, you know, this kind of road, like it, like your body, it's like a violent toxin when you feel yourself in places that are where you're not able to fully express yourself. And so in terms of my relationship with Facebook, I identify one of the things that I just naturally really love doing is I'm finding that like I'm always having this experience out in the world that feels like really rich and exciting, and always like having, you know, like mini revelations or all these experiences that are you know, so wonderful. And so I like to use Facebook just as a way to like just get it out there and not overthink it too much. And it feels like it all kind of comes together and makes sense, you know, but yeah, it's also like for me a good place to move into sharing like both vulnerability and also empowerment, and even like I've started to share a little bit more about like some explorations in sex, and I think I naturally really like to kind of like push edges a little bit, and kind of like poke people. So it feels like a fun way to do that, and also just like expand myself. And one thing I love, which I feel like is another reason why we connect, in this energy of like, well, the only way you really know how to do it is just to do it, you know? So I feel similarly in terms of like posting on Facebook or whatever, that like when I'm writing, so often the truth comes out just in like doing it, you know?
Yeah.
So that for me is like, it's both like, yeah, I get to share this thing with other people, but then I'm also kind of like going through this journey inside that feels really cool.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's how we do a big relate that we have is through the doings. We're just coming to life. Like I could
Yeah.
research how to do the great Facebook Live. I could research and I could get stuck in that. And that's something that I really see so many women and men getting stuck in, which is like getting ready to get ready. It's like, I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
I still catch myself in it. You know, when meeting someone, I'm like, oh, the next time I see that person, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. No. What about right now? So it's a natural human thing to think about how this is going to play out.
Yeah.
But then it stays here and it stays floating in the ether instead of like done. You know, like when I give a challenge, when I do, I'm like, it's out there. It's been witnessed. It's said. Of course, I could still, you know, fail, whatever. But if I'm in this place of curiosity and always learning, which is why it's good to just do it, then it's like, I'm just going to learn about myself. Oh, look, I didn't commit or I didn't, you know, and then to work with that piece. And I think that's the reason why it's so important to not wait for the perfect moment to speak up.
Yeah.
Coming back to like, don't shut the fuck up. It's like somebody will say you're too much. Somebody will say like, oh, the profanity. And, you know, the more conviction you have in it, the more those people are just like, oh, I'm not even gonna, you know, they just feel rejected. And that's cool because if they don't want to show up, then they're not rejected. They're still invited.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. And I want to really say I so appreciate like your energy around the whole experience together. Feels so fresh, and like I could see myself even when you reached out, like wanting to overthink it and categorize it and like all this stuff. And you were like, girl, I just think you're cool. It's like jump on something.
Yeah. I think that's, you know, that's part of the patriarchal way, which is like somebody's good, somebody's bad, somebody's right, somebody's wrong, somebody's smarter, cooler, better, faster. And it's like, it's even a lesson for me to remember, like to really stay clear.
Yeah.
You know, the agenda could be like, let's just get together and see.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been my most successful week of enrolling new amazing people. And literally, like from our interaction, I was like, people feel energy. If I'm calling with an intention that is to talk them into something or feels yucky. And so I've just been really playing with this idea of like, I know there's magic. Let's see if this person thinks there's magic. Even in my relating, you know, with potential partners or whatever, I'm just like, I have no idea. Let's just show up. Maybe we can be the best friends or creative partners. Maybe we can make a movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so fun to be that way.
So fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna check and see if there's any questions or comments. Oh, that's funny. Rebecca Scott showed up and she said, "I love your name." She's a Rebecca too. Didn't get it till I just said it. Okay, cool. Any other wisdom that we had when we spoke that day that we want to play with?
That felt so complete. I don't know. Like
I know, I feel complete too. How fun is that?
that felt like just really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I want to share that we both have beautiful things going on. And so the plan was to talk about each other's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to do that. And so if this, like, if watching our video is exciting and if you vibe with us, first of all, we're going to be sharing each other with each other's audiences. So friend us, be involved. Like the idea that there's such thing as competition is kind of like boo, you know. So just to share a little bit about Rebecca, I'm looking at my notes now, but she works with visionaries and works to empower them and healers and really to get their dreams and passions and to live out their purposes and to create magic in this world. And so if in 2020 you're like, I want to coach and that's something I want to work with, and you're like, who's this amazing woman that Shane has brought on? Or if you already know Rebecca, then I would really, I'm a really big person who believes in action taking. And because we've shared basically how we got together, I think it's important to know, like, there's no hidden agenda. And that's really a special way to hop on the phone with somebody. And I realized I didn't send you my notes. So,
Yeah. Can you do
so yeah, anything you want to share? I mean, I guess I'll frame it like this, so you have a real something to think about. So Rebecca and I re-met because we met a couple of years ago at Connection Camp. But your impression or what you experienced with me as a speaker, leader, vendor, whatever I was that day at the Soul Level Success, like when you sat down with me, like what did you think or feel, or what do you thought? Yeah, like that.
I felt like this woman is super real and raw and expressed, and really knows how to just get people fucking going, and get out of their heads and get into what they want to be doing in the world and to take risks. Like, I feel like you're so gifted at helping people kind of leap in and take the risks that they want to take and jump out of the like perfection paradigm. And also there's a spirit of fun. So the process feels really fun. Not like a chore,
So good. I hope my 2:30 clients watching, because her word for 2020 is fun. So thank you for picking up like really what I bring to the table, which is like, it doesn't have to be, I know suffering very fucking well.
Exactly. Yeah, this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be
Yes. Thank you for that. And thank you for answering on the cuff.
Yes, of course.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to share this everywhere. And if anybody has any questions or comments, even if you don't agree, I think we really love that. But I think we'd really, because I'm willing to look at everything, like, especially if it's something that I'm so matter of fact on, I'm willing. I think we're both willing to look at it and be like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what came out that way. So yeah, we welcome comments.
Yeah, I look forward to having a natural conversation again. This was so fun.
This was so fun. All right. Well, thank you for your time. And I look forward to what's next.
Awesome.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.